This is LBC. Message Henry Riley on WhatsApp now. 0345 60 60 973.
11:33 is the time. A very good evening to you, Henry Riley, in for Ben Kentish on LBC. We are talking 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. More of your thoughts on that in a moment. First, though, as I reference, when Donald Trump speaks, we turn to Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent. And lots been going on, Simon. Let's start with a couple of hours ago where President Trump has been speaking about Prince Harry, which slightly made me raise an eyebrow. Understandably, King Charles as well ahead of that visit. Tell us more, Simon.
Yes, absolutely. It is a busy night here, Henry. Lots of news was made during a single appearance by President Trump that was supposed to be all about a healthcare initiative that he was unveiling at the White House today. But inevitably, once that was over, reporters peppered him with a variety of different questions, including one cognizant of the fact that the King and Queen will be here next week on that 4-day state visit to mark the 250th birthday, the beginning of 250th birthday commemorations here in the United States that will, of course, lead up to the big birthday bash on Independence Day itself, July the 4th. And one of the reporters in the room asked the president about some comments made over the last day or so by an estranged member of the royal family.
Prince Harry today has said that he would like to see you do more to end the war in Ukraine. Do you think it's appropriate for a royal to make those comments ahead of the visit on Monday?
Prince Harry?
Yes, sir.
How's he doing?
Well, he's in
How's his
Ukraine.
wife? Please give him my regards, okay? No, I don't know. I know one thing. Prince Harry is not speaking for the UK. That's for sure. I think I'm speaking for the UK more than Prince Harry. But I appreciate his advice very much.
Would you have
great
invited
advice
him to the dinner and to the state visit?
Well, I look forward to the dinner. We're having King Charles come. He's a friend of mine. We're really looking forward to it. We've spoken, and we're going to have a great time.
So he's looking forward to the arrival of the King and Queen, but as soon as he made those comments, he immediately once again went on the attack against the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, arguing that what the Prime Minister should be doing, and he said this on numerous occasions before, of course, is drilling for North Sea oil off the coast of Aberdeenshire and also cracking down on immigration into the UK. It's going to be eggshells here next week when the King and Queen are present in Washington at the White House, attending that state visit, attending that state dinner, to see whether President Donald Trump buttons it during the period that he's with the royals, or whether he is going to launch another attack on the Prime Minister, even while he is flanked by the King and Queen. Discussion, of course, also turned to the war in Iran. President Trump, for the first time, took the nuclear option off the table.
Sir, would you use a nuclear weapon against Iran? You posted on Truth Social a few weeks ago.
We don't need it. Why do I need it? Why would a stupid question like that be asked? Why would I use a nuclear weapon when we've totally, in a very conventional way, decimated them without it? No, I wouldn't use it. A nuclear weapon should never be allowed to be used by anybody.
Now, the reason why that's not a stupid question is because, of course, after President Trump published his social media threat to murder Iran's civilization, a civilization will die tonight, he said a couple of weeks ago, there were fears that he was considering the possible first strike use of a nuclear weapon against Iran, and they have only been stoked by reports from inside the administration about growing concern of Trump's some senior figures in Trump world about the president's plans. So interesting that question got asked, and certainly material that President Trump is taking off the table any possibility of first strike use of a nuclear weapon against Iran. As for the talks that aren't taking place in Islamabad again tonight, the president insisted, as he put it on Truth Social today, he's got all the time in the world to negotiate a deal with Iran, and what he's planning to do at the moment is give the Iranians some time to sort themselves out.
They want to make a deal. We have been speaking to them, but they don't even know who's leading the country. They're in turmoil. So we thought we'd give them a little chance to get some of their turmoil resolved. We don't know who the leader is in Iran. Because remember, regime change. Khomeini is gone. He's gone to greener pastures. He's gone, and all of his team is gone. Then a second group came in. They're all gone. And now you have the third group. And they're a little concerned about being gone, too.
There will be those in Donald Trump's inner circle who think that in that exchange, and as he's done on so many occasions in the past, he might be giving a little bit too much information away to the Iranians when he says we don't know who their leaders are. I mean, that's a pretty extraordinary concession on the part of the President of the United States. No talks in the offing, but as you heard there, the President absolutely holding out the prospect of them, insisting once again that the Iranians are desperate to make a deal.
Now, we've seen this press conference as well, Simon. I read in the last few minutes, actually, Marco Rubio has said that Iran is not barred from the World Cup. But that was really cool to talk about this ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon being extended by 3 weeks. Talk us through what more was said, because we heard a little bit, but you've been covering this far more closely.
Yeah, I mean, the headline, of course, that's flashing up on everybody's phones is that the president has announced that the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon is going to be extended for another 3 weeks. I think there's another important nugget, though, in what President Trump has announced. He says the United States is going to work with Lebanon in order to help it protect itself from Hezbollah. Now, what does that look like? And how do you explain that to your Make America Great Again, America First supporters in terms that are not going to lead them to worry that ground troops might get involved on the ground in Lebanon, that you might find yourself involved in nation building, that phrase that is polarizing for Republicans, particularly in the United States. So there are real questions there about what he means when he says the US is going to work with Lebanon in order to help it protect itself from Hezbollah, but at least a 3-week extension of the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Questions, of course, will abound about whether Hezbollah is going to honour that ceasefire because they're not party to these talks.
And lastly, can I ask you about these reports that Vladimir Putin, I'm sure I'm reading this wrong, but Vladimir Putin could be invited to the G20 in Miami?
Yeah, you are not reading this wrong at all. It's been in the pipeline for a while. President Trump is going to be hosting the G20 summit this year in Doral, Florida, a dormitory suburb of Miami. And the reason why he's doing it there is because he's holding it at his own property, the Trump National Golf Club in Doral, which was already raising questions for some members of the G20, wondering whether they were entirely comfortable about the idea of attending a summit that is being held at the host's personal property. Trump administration insists the president's not making any money out of it, although whether that stands up to scrutiny, I think, is an open question. Now, President Trump is about to issue an invitation to the Russian President Vladimir Putin to attend the G20, which I think is due to take place in October. That is going to be a massive challenge for our Prime Minister, whether it's Keir Starmer or anyone else by that stage, for European leaders, including the French and the Germans, because remember, of course, Vladimir Putin is facing war crimes charges in The Hague. He's not freely able to travel. He can come to the United States because, of course, they don't recognise the tribunal in The Hague, so he can set foot on American soil. But every other member of the G20 now is going to have to decide whether they are comfortable attending an event to which Vladimir Putin is on the eve of being invited. And that's going to become a massive issue and cause enormous tension in a G20 this year that is already filled with all sorts of tension pertaining to the agenda that the Americans have been setting for the full year of discussions that are taking place.
Well, quite, and our Prime Minister is going to be asked about it, I can imagine, as well. Simon, before I let you go, have you got the red carpet out ahead of a big visit to Washington, D.C.? I talk not of... I talk not of the King, actually, on this occasion. You know who I speak about.
I know exactly who. It's an even bigger... It's as big a visit. For those who are not yet in the know, Ian Dale is coming to Washington, D.C. So we are cleaning the place up. We're getting the caterers in. I've read his waiver. I mean, you obviously know, the canapes, the Evian, all of that's
I hope you've got some good donors over there. My goodness, I've seen his waiver before.
And, of course, the red carpet is being shampooed even as I speak.
Simon, great to talk to you. I'm very jealous, actually. Simon Marks, LBC's Washington correspondent, with the very latest there.